brothers and sisters of the United States of America, tonight, we, the free people of the resistance, ask you to become one of us.
Good morning, all of you Nazi sympathisers. It is that boy who is very wrong but loves you all right wrong, Jules, here with his companion Rich, aka the Siamese cat head on a monkey's body. Today we are talking about Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, and our general review. We haven't got a table because there's a Halloween party going on behind us, so we can't use that.
We brought back the old one.
Bit of retro love, this is. So we've had some hands-on time with Wolfenstein 2, both on the PS4 and on the PC.
Yep.
And let's get into it. I think this is a very good game.
Yes,
I give it 4 stars out of 5. I'm just going to chuck my score at that and then explain why.
I can live with that. I would give it 3.5 to 4. It's kind of that in that area. I feel
it's a great game, but it's not a perfect one.
No.
So
there are a lot of things I can talk about. Like these are all my
negatives
in comparison to positives.
Oh, fair enough. Oh, there's a lot more than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Right. So let's jump in and do our usual thing and talk about the presentation of the game.
Yeah.
I think that they have, like Bethesda's done a fantastic job with this. Ever since they sort of pioneered Rage, they proved that they could do very good-looking shooter games.
Yes.
And obviously Doom was fantastic as well in that art style. This one here is them sort of hitting their stride and keeping them going because everything looks and feels like, I wouldn't say realistic because, I mean, you are fighting effectively giant laser-wielding Nazis, but everything feels believable within that world.
Yeah, there's nothing that feels too sort of astronomically stupid. Everything feels like you said, it could be actually built and made. Everything feels robust and sort of, I'd say metal. That's kind of what it is. Everything feels really solid.
Got that sense of weight to it, hasn't it? I mean, I love the fact that they've gone all out in this whole America is now under Nazi control. The amount of detail that they put into the world, like you can meet Ku Klux Man members, Ku Klux Mans, basically having a chat with one of the Nazi officers, and it's quite nice to see their power subverted.
Yeah, you see the world in motion, which is not something you got to see so much in the last game.
It reminds me a lot of how BioShock presents its world. Basically, they do sort of narrative set pieces where you walk along and stuff is happening around you, and then you go into the fights. It's a nice way of just being like, by the way, this world is alive. They've done a really good job, and I especially love the special edition that we got sent through with the foot tall, or as we also know, 3 Peters high Terrorbilly doll. Like again, it's just all the thing on the back.
Because it's all based in world, like that's an actual toy they sell in that universe of the Terrorbilly, not nasty person they don't like.
It's a very good looking game. I mean, it's smooth as well. It is buttery smooth.
The engine change between the New Order and the new Colossus.
Oh, right, okay.
So I think it's running on, I think it might be the same engine as Doom. It might be something like very similar. It definitely feels it, That's the one thing about the biggest difference I felt between the first game and this one is how much better it plays. Yeah. Because going back to play the first one again, it feels really clunky. Whereas this feels
doesn't it?
Brilliant. Like all the shooting. I mean, the first one's shooting was spot on, but it's even more so in the new Colossus.
It was interesting how sensitive I actually found the controls to be coming into it, because I know that, speaking from a PC player, you're used to having it very kind of like, well, the tiniest movement would be like pinpoint accuracy. But for consoles, again, that's still something that lags behind a little bit in that regard. But here it was just like, whoa, I am moving very quickly around this map. He sprints so goddamn fast as well.
I love the animation of how fast it is. It just looks so wacky. Yeah. It's brilliant.
So the art style in this is just phenomenal. Like, it's the suit of armor that you wear for the majority. We're not going to basically do much in the terms of spoiler territories.
But there will be spoilers, just keep that in mind.
Just light ones. Yeah. It's like the suit that you wear throughout the majority of it. Obviously, it's like the angular head shape. I know we saw it in the last one that Caroline was wearing, but it's things like that are just like, they sit so abstractly away from the real world elements that they've got, that they look so sci-fi and cool. I love what they've done with this game. It's a very, very good looking game. And the voice acting is really superb, actually. Yeah. The inner narratives that you get from BJ when he's talking about sort of like, you know, Caroline and like things that are happening. It's just really nice to have that sort of inner monologue sort of thing. It's really, really nice.
And that's one of the best things about this game is how deep you dive into BJ's character. There is so much that happens in this game that puts more sort of humanity into BJ.
Yes,
because
definitely.
in the first game he was just this sort of, as much as you had his relationship with Anya, he was just this sort of big burly white guy who kills Nazis.
Yeah.
He's a completely different man in this game.
Yeah, he's broken effectively.
He is for the first act of the game, he's a patchwork man.
Yeah, very
and that
much
is in
so.
more ways than one, not only in terms of physically but also mentally. Like he is falling apart.
It's nice to have those little flashbacks as well to his past life and learning about more of his origin story as well, because that's what you kind of need to do. Bethesda basically pushed this as being a shooter with heart, and like it was meant to be over the top and stuff, but they definitely promised there was going to be a deeper narrative than most first-person shooters. And I would say that they delivered because of the fact that they have invested time into BJ's character.
Definitely.
If they'd just gone, hey, you are a cog in this bigger machine again, it's sometimes not about the big thing that's going on, it's about the small story that you are inflecting on that. The game plays really well. I'm loving the dual shooting mechanic that they've got in this one.
Obviously a staple from the last game.
Yeah, but it feels like they brought it back and it feels better.
But they changed it up because you can dual different weapons this time.
Yeah.
So you can have like a laser gun in one hand and a triple-barreled shotgun in the other, just running around mowing people down.
Was that your favourite combo?
I usually use the shotgun and the submachine gun, but most of the time in the game I wasn't actually using dual wield.
Really?
Most of the time I was sticking with a single weapon, just a rifle with a scope, and just going pop, 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 picking people off.
Yeah.
That was sort of my kind of thing.
I found that the accuracy didn't actually go down as much as I thought it would for having the dual wielding. So I just found that running around with like a pistol, the silence pistol in one, and then the laser craft work in the other. I was literally just going like silence kill, one shot, heavy kill. I was loving that. That was a good time. Yeah,
they haven't taken sort of like a Call of Duty approach of you sort of spraying all over the place with dual wield. You are properly. It's a completely viable
I just
way to do it.
Just had a horrible flashback to Model 1887's Akimbo. Oh, the amount of death that I suffered to that, mate, it's just unbelievable. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, it all feels so robust. It's a completely viable thing that you can go through the entire game dual wield if you wanted to. Because like when you find you don't automatically have two weapons. You have to go and find a second version of the weapon you've got, and then you can dual wield them. But
which is a nice little clever thing to do, actually, because it wouldn't make any sense if BJ was like, I've got one gun.
The idea of him being able to carry around like 10 weapons up his butt or something like that's a bit silly. But there is that sort of essence of realism to it that just sort of works really well. Because again, similar to the first game, it is this sort of proper old school shooting. You haven't got regenerating health. Well, you do to some extent, but mainly get it back through health kits and armor and picking up like dribs and drabs of ammo.
It
stuff
forces
like
you to
that.
be a scavenger in every sense of the word, because while I always found that I had enough ammo, I never really ran out of like ammo type, but I definitely was just constantly going, okay, cool, I definitely need a few bits more armor to go through this.
As soon as you clear a room, you go back around the room and scurry around and pick everything up. I
mean, the level designs, how did you find them? I mean, that's probably where my first bit of criticism will come in.
The level designs they're still not like a downright linear game. You do still get that sort of freedom to take whichever direction you want. But when you get further through the game and you're able to choose a particular apparatus to use, the level designs, the different routes you can take are based on which of those you choose.
Right, okay.
So, like in most of the promotional material, there's the stilts you see, which is what I chose, and there are various places you can get to by using the stilts. There's stuff where you can charge through walls, and there's something where you essentially get squashed and you can crawl through like really small vents and stuff like that. But that's essentially all you get in terms of choosing where you want to go. Whereas in the first game, you could literally go whichever way around anything you wanted to. So it sort of gave you the illusion of freedom of choice, but in reality, it was more just a case of, oh, you've chosen this, therefore you go this way.
I mean, I definitely found in the early hours of the game, especially, that while it presented a very large world, I was very aware that I was just in a skybox. Like, I didn't feel like I could interact with anything beyond the boundaries. Like, we got to the stage where, when you're going towards, you're in New York and you're trying
go to the estate building.
Yeah, it's quite early on in this, so there's not that many spoilers there. But
when you arrive on that level, it's like a massive open wasteland, isn't it?
And you think that there's going to be a lot of
you literally drop into a cavern, and it's just like dilapidated buildings and corridors.
It's corridors again. I mean, this is the thing. It is a fantastically beautiful game, and they put a lot of detail into the environment. But it's the same criticism that you could have levelled back at Halo 3 back in the day. It was just kind of like, there are beautiful areas. Interspace with tons of corridor shooting. And like corridor shooting's absolutely fine. This is an old school shooter,
especially when the shooting is good.
Yeah,
that's always a benefit.
It's fine, but it's just I was very aware of it. Like there were so many times that I was like, it'd be lovely to see the sky at least once.
Yeah.
I'm in another bloody tunnel again.
Underground Nazi base again.
It was like when I was in when you land down in the Nazi-controlled Texas like area. You are literally like, oh, I can finally see everything. I'm going to drink this all in. This is great. But that doesn't last very long, so you're just like, dang it.
Suddenly you're back in the tunnel.
Yeah, it just makes you want more, to see more of the world.
Because that's what you were given with all the sort of the marketing for this game. It looks like it's going to be this really big, open, really interesting landscape to explore, and you don't really get that. You know, the parts where you're in New Orleans in a ghetto, and there's one way out of this street. Here's another street. So it still does feel quite linear, giving you the illusion that it's open.
And it's fine. Because Bethesda are allowed to do whatever they want with their games, but I understand the constraints of trying to make it, like making an open world first person shooter would be incredibly difficult. It's not Borderlands, for example, this.
No.
But it does focus you onto the story. I will say that the story I found to be quite jarring in places. The pacing was a bit all over the place.
Yeah, it seems like they've... it's kind of like when you're writing a script and they say, every line you've got, take off the first two words and the last two words, and there's your proper line. That kind of feels like what they did with these missions. They took out bits and bobs, like when they explain, right, you're going to go to Roswell, but you need to go here to get to Roswell. That's all just cutscene.
Yeah.
Whereas I would have expected it to be similar to the first game when you jump in the boot of that guy's car and you're taken to each checkpoint. Like, that's sort of what I expected to get. But it wasn't that. Like escaping a place, like a proper sort of convention of a video game is you fight your way in, do something, and then fight your way back out again with all the rooms repopulated. But literally it's just a case of get past a big robot and open a door and done.
Yeah, there were.
It's like, oh, okay.
There were a few moments of that where I was just kind of like, that seems like a wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
Like it feels like there's a perfect setup for a level, or at least something to happen here.
The sort of excitement of like a big chase, or again fighting your way back out of somewhere, but it just sort of stopped. Like the missions they remained quite short. Like nothing overstayed its welcome though, because there were times when, like in the first game, for example, the prison break in the first game, I thought that went on and on and on and on and on. But in this, there's nothing that I felt like had a substantial enough length. I felt like stuff ended a bit too soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's the level length did kind of go quite short in some areas. I would have liked longer to have spent looking around certain places, but I guess it did keep the action moving quite heavily.
Oh yeah, the actual levels themselves are very well paced. You know, you get the stealth segments and you get the big all guns blazing segments.
Yeah.
But it felt like they could have padded it all out a bit more, because it was again just another, we're fighting our way through another Nazi base.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
Well, it's interesting that you use the word padded out, because we actually have now, like, you completed the game and I'm about to, and it only took you 8 hours to do.
It only took me 8 hours to complete it, yeah.
And again, it's one of those things where the marketing for this game said it was going to be huge. It was going to be like a massive, emotional, aggressive storyline, over the top in every single sense. And 8 hours in, you said it finished way too soon.
It finished too soon for me, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like...
It felt like there should have been another 2 or 3 missions.
Like, I understand leaving people wanting more, but I mean... Is 8 hours enough to tell the story?
That's 8 hours with a couple of hiccups in terms of the game, because there are moments, like as you would get in a proper old school first person shooter, where you want to flip your table because of how difficult certain things get.
Yeah.
But if you got through the entire game in sort of one go, you'd probably get maybe 5 or 6 hours out of it, I think.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's not as long as I was expecting. Like I said, I think if they had as I said, sort of padded out the missions, they gave them a bit more structure. You got to do some more in-betweeny segments. There was nothing really in the game except for the stuff that happens on the U-boats.
Yes, yeah.
That really feels like the filler, but not necessarily in a bad way. You didn't get that. It was literally just like plot point, plot point, plot point, plot point, end. So,
I mean, it's a balancing act. You either want your game to be a quick sort of kinetic experience where people go back and play through it again, because that's what this game does encourage you to do by choosing different branches, or you risk having it being padded out to the point where people are bored of it. But I'll just say this, I won't get bored of the shooting. I really enjoyed it. When that was going off...
That's what you sort of need to take from this. It is a bloody good game.
Yeah, we just want more of it.
We just want more of it, yeah.
And it's annoying because I know that they're doing DLC for it, and it's kind of
I think they're sort of more standalone. Because I mean, once you finish the game, I haven't actually gone on to do this bit yet, but once you finish the game, you can revisit locations and take out like the higher ups and stuff.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which I haven't done yet. I need to explore more. But the DLCs appear to be something, I guess, in the same kind of lines. Maybe something like, not so much the old blood, but like a completely different thing, be it taking place before or after or during or something. But it seems to be with different characters.
Okay, well that I look.
But it
forward
is
to
more
that.
within that universe, and to be honest, that's what I wanted to see more.
Yeah.
You know, the scene on the street you've mentioned already, where you get to walk through Nazi-occupied America, which is absolutely fantastic. That happens once.
Yeah, and it's a real shame.
It's not that long.
They built up in the story that it was like America has fallen, like
the
everyone's
entirety
caved
of
in.
America, yeah.
And it's like you only get a few snapshots into it. So I hope the DLC allows you to expand a bit more into that, and I'm sure it will.
The only real people you get to interact with are all the Resistance.
Yeah.
So they're all on the same page. Like, I'm interested to see how things will pan out from here.
Yes.
Especially into what will be Wolfenstein 3, which is bound to happen.
Yeah,
let's
I mean,
face it.
the success of the first one and the DLC and this one's selling really well as well.
So I'm intrigued to see which way it goes, because at the moment, as weird as it sounds, I'm not sure where the American people who aren't the Resistance actually stand on all of this.
Yeah.
Because you don't get that idea. The only point you get with someone who isn't in the Resistance being a bit concerned around the Nazis is that strawberry milkshake scene.
Everyone is 100% bought into the way of life, effectively, haven't they? It's kind of like
quite...
you kind of, when Grace is one of the revolutionary leaders, when she's like, we're going to light the fire, we're going to show the American people that they want to fight, and it's kind of like,
but are you though?
A lot of them seem pretty okay with this.
I mean,
but I mean, stuff does happen to change that. When you realise what's going on behind the scenes. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to put up with that. Just saying, not a Nazi. Not a Nazi.
Not a Nazi.
Let's just have that maybe written on the screen for a bit, you know. Just not a Nazi, right?
We're not Nazis.
Just to clarify. So yeah, it's a good-looking game. It plays really well. There are a few hiccups in the level designs. The length sometimes pacing.
Length is the pacing's okay, but the length just isn't as good. And I think one of the things that I realised, because I've been writing notes up and sort of looking back on it, one of the things that you don't get in this game, which is really, really silly for a sort of an old school shooter, there are at least nothing that really stands alone as a boss fight.
Yeah.
There are no boss fights in this game.
I was disappointed.
There's no final boss.
Yeah. I mean, like, when you see the one of the first giant sort of mechanized units.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like...
Oh, yes. Yeah, I know what you mean. The huge robots, the massive ones.
You think that, okay, that could potentially be a boss fight, but I remember the first interaction that you get with them, it's kind of like, well, let's go.
Yeah, because it's like you're in this sort of open sort of tower, and you just move your way around the outside, and it's just in the middle. Yeah. And I mean, you look at it and you think, I can't take that thing out. Not with a couple of guns.
And then it's like the game is even encouraging you. It's just like, come on, go.
So
come on, go.
It's like,
so is this a fight or is this not?
Here's the door you need to go through. There it is. Just go through it.
Yeah.
And you have that numerous times. Those same robots, they just sort of pace up and down the street. And
so
you
they're
just
not really bosses then. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And Panzerhunds as well. Like I think over the course of the game, you see like 3 Panzerhunds.
Yeah.
And only 1 or 2 of them is sort of interactable.
Yeah.
And even then, you just jump past both of them. And otherwise, they just appear in cutscenes.
Very strange.
So,
because I mean, Doom, when you look at that introduced new enemies as bosses. That's how they managed to get around that. Like anytime one, like the big fat one that comes down, he's got like the plasma gun for an arm, whatever it is. When he came down, you're like, oh snap, this guy actually means some business. You see a few more of them later, but it introduced them as a boss.
Yeah.
This one introduces them.
That's actually kind of another thing. There weren't as many sort of different enemies as I was expecting.
Yeah,
you had the standard sort of soldiers as you get.
Yeah.
You had the sort of the big heavy dual wielding ones, which were quite fun to battle because they weren't really difficult.
They sounded amazing as well. The sound quality was wicked on that.
Those laser guns sound amazing. Yeah. And then you had those weird sort of flash robots, the ones that sort of zip around.
Yeah.
They were quite cool. Again, they weren't too difficult to fight. There was no enemies that really took its toll on you. And then right at the end, which is the sort of equivalent of a boss fight, it's kind of like just a waves of enemies and the slightly larger sort of dual wielding ones. And then right at the end, you get 2 like double height ones of those with just this massive sort of laser gun, and they're so difficult to kill. But they're literally, you see 2 of them in the whole game, and that's it.
Yeah, that's weird.
So that was sort of the equivalent of a boss fight, was just a random wave of enemies en route to where you need to go. That was essentially the boss fight. So
that's a real shame that they don't have anything like that in there. But again, still a great game, but as we prefixed at the beginning, not a perfect one.
No.
I think the big question is, should people buy this? Yes, they should. It is a really good laugh. It is a lot of fun. I just think that it's maybe the marketing campaign skewed it slightly differently to the product.
Yeah, I think if the marketing was a bit more sort of aligned to what the game actually was playing it, I think these criticisms wouldn't be so heavy.
No, because we'd be expecting them.
Because we'd be expecting it.
Yeah.
But no, as a single-player experience, it's definitely something you need to play. If you played the first one, then you've got to play this one. If you haven't played the first one, go and play the first one.
And then let us know.
Fantastic.
Let us know which one you prefer. Because I would have to say, in my heart of hearts, I think I might prefer the story of the first one, but I prefer the gameplay of the
essentially,
second one.
if I could have the first one playing mechanically as the second one, it would be like a 10 out of 10 game.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And there we go. So, between the two of them, you've got a perfect game. So, will they hit their stride with DLC? Only time will tell. This has been our review for Wolfenstein 2. Let us know if you've picked it up in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Then head back to whatculture.com for more news and articles and reviews like this every goddamn day. As always, I've been Jules.
I've been Rich.
And we'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Hello, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. These people down here made it happen, so go them. Well done them. If you're watching on a device that doesn't allow video cards, there aren't many of those anymore, then you'll be able to see Ben there instead.
Hey!
But otherwise, you can click those and watch another video.
Click on my general body area.